Welcome to Blueprint Radio. I'm your host, Martin Williams.
And welcome to Blueprint
Here we
Radio.
help you
My
create
name is
a
Martin
blueprint
Williams.
for your life.
Subscribe to the podcast.
So let's build.
We do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. All the links to the podcast can be found at guidedexpressions.com/podcast with an S, or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. So today, I wanted to talk to you about watching your thoughts. One of the core books that I read, there's 7 to 8 books that I come back to over and over again. And for those of you that don't know, those books are Think and Grow Rich, The Power of Decision, The Master Key System, Creative Mind and Success, Power of the Subconscious Mind, Had to Think About It, The Power of Awareness, and the Bible. All right. So those are the 7. I think that's 7. And, I always add in some more. I read all the time, but those 7 books I go back to time and time again to get more and more wisdom for my life and to share with others. So one of those books that I mentioned is Creative Mind and Success. And I was reading that over the weekend. And one of the cool things that I pulled out of it is that every thought is creative. Now, a lot of people don't really think about this. And I think that one of the problems is that we don't pay attention to our thoughts, right? We don't pay attention to what we're thinking on a moment-to-moment basis because our minds are going, at a really, really fast rate. And so if you're not paying attention to that, you are creating certain things in your life and, you see the result of it and it's like, well, wait a second, I don't want this. I don't want sickness and chaos and, lack and failure. I don't want these things in my life. And, I didn't create this on my own, but, you kind of did. Right. And so one of the things you have to learn, and that I had to learn, is that we all have a mental atmosphere. Okay. And what that mental atmosphere is that, think of it like a thought cloud. So we're thinking on and on and on all throughout the day. And we're putting these thoughts out, right? And just like a factory, if you drive by a factory, right? Where I used to live in the Northeast, and you see all these manufacturing plants. And so these plants, they put out all the smoke into the atmosphere. Okay. And so all of that, you see all that. And, when you're a kid, you think it's really cool. And then you realize, this is damaging the environment. So that's not really the greatest thing in the world. Right. But my point is that your thoughts are putting out these clouds, your mental atmosphere. Okay. And your mental atmosphere is what's drawing your life. Okay. Now, at the risk of sounding a little woo-woo, right? What I'm getting at is if you're putting out negativity, if you're putting out chaos, that mental atmosphere is drawing that chaos. It's drawing that negativity. More negativity you're putting out, the more negativity you're drawing back. Now, how do we change that? Well, the how is actually very simple. I have to start thinking about what I want. Right. And what Ernest Holmes was saying in that book was we must only think of what we want to experience. OK, so if you're going for a job interview, right, and you have anxiety, you have a lot of, trepidation about what this interview could turn into. Obviously, the biggest fear is that you don't get the job. OK. You can't think like that because if you think about, I'm not going to get this job, I'm not qualified. Okay, they're interviewing you for a reason. If you weren't qualified, more often than not, you're not going to make it to the interview. Okay, I remember when I was going for medical school and I got interviewed by a medical school. I went to a couple of medical school interviews and I went to the interview and I was really nervous. And the admissions counselor, who was really helpful, she would say, we brought you here for a reason. Okay. We don't interview everybody. And that really kind of set me at ease, because if I was being interviewed, that meant that they were seriously considering admitting me. Now, I didn't get that particular admission. I got admitted to another program within that school. But my point is that I was being interviewed because I was a serious candidate. And so if you're interviewing for that job, you're a serious candidate. Okay, whether you wanted to see it or not, they see you as a serious candidate. So you are best suited to think of yourself as a serious candidate and say, hey, I do belong here, and I'm going to tell them why. I'm going to tell them what I can bring to this company. I'm going to tell them what I can do to help make this company better. Okay, I'm going to do my research, and I'm going to come in that interview prepared instead of being scared. You can be prepared or scared, right? That's kind of the choice. And a lot of people choose scared because that's the default. So your mental atmosphere, instead of being afraid and being anxious and everything else, you can have a mental atmosphere of being prepared and being serious and owning the room. Now, does that mean you'll get the job? Not necessarily, but you're more likely to get it if you have that atmosphere, right? If you're bringing that atmosphere, because people can detect your mental atmosphere, whether they understand it fully or not. They can detect your mental atmosphere. So if you're bringing your mental atmosphere of low self-esteem and fear and trepidation and lack of clarity and all of that, and there's nothing wrong with having any of those things, but you got to change it, right? There's nothing wrong with having, I got up this morning and there was a screw in my tire. There's nothing wrong with the screw being in the tire. It happens to everybody at some point. Excuse me. It happens to everybody at some point. But now is what do I do about it? Do I just let the screw stay in the tire, or do I take it to a tire place so they can pull the screw out, right? It's not so much what happens to you as what you do about it. So, your mental atmosphere is what it is. Now you know about mental atmosphere. What are you going to do about it? The way you change it is you change your thoughts. All right. You change it from, I hate this job, to, I appreciate this job, and it's putting food on my table. It's providing prosperity for myself and for my family. And I'm moving towards something else. But I appreciate where I am, and I appreciate what it's doing, right? There's two ways to think about it. The mental atmosphere, if you're putting out negativity and toxicity, you're going to just draw more negativity and toxicity. We see it on social media all the time. People who put out toxicity and put out negativity, they draw it, right? They draw that back to them, and it's a law. It's how the world works. It's how this particular concept works, okay? So refuse to think about failure or doubt. Don't doubt your power. All of us have the power. I don't care if you have $1 in your pocket, $1 in your bank account. You have the power to change your mental atmosphere, and in doing so, you will change your life, okay? Stop thinking negativity. Stop putting out negative thoughts, okay? Are you going to be able to stop this on a dime? No, you probably aren't, because you have that habit of putting negativity out time and time again, right? But what you got to do is that, every hour, just catch your thoughts. Put a reminder in your calendar. I did this one time to, check your thoughts, pay attention to your thoughts, right? What am I thinking right now? Okay. Am I thinking, I hate this person, I hate my life? Or am I thinking, am I thinking gratitude? Am I thinking appreciation? Okay. Because in doing so, I'm changing my mental atmosphere. Am I thinking I'm not going to get this client? Am I thinking my business is going to fail? Right. I can think that, or I can think I'm getting this client, my business is going to succeed. Am I thinking, I don't know what I want to do, I'm confused, I got a lack of clarity, I'm lost, right? And again, that might be true, but is that helping you? It's not helping you right now, right? The better way to think is, I know what I want to do. I know what I want to do. I know my path. I'm creating an atmosphere. And when you create that atmosphere, the atmosphere will draw the thing to you. So thank you so much for listening to Blueprint Radio. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Blueprint Radio. For more information on Martin Williams coaching and products, please go to guidedexpressions.com or visit me on Facebook as well as Instagram.